Formula One skips across Europe to Spa-Francorchamps this weekend for the 2023 Belgian Grand Prix. Only one race to go before the summer break. But no rest for our team just yet. I'm Martyn Lee from the Autosport podcast. Joining me today are Matt Q and Alex Kalinauckas. First of all, an apology. Last time I wore a white t-shirt on a video, somebody said in the comments, that guy's in his night shirt. No, it's just a white t-shirt, but hey, I'm welcome to trigger anybody else for wearing this. Let's talk a little bit about Formula One, not what I'm wearing. Matt, we'll start with you first up. Can you give us an insight into your movements? Because we can see you're back at home and maybe the rest of the F1 circus as well. It's a back-to-back weekend. We saw when the Alpines double DNF'd at the weekend. The engineers and the paddock pack-down team had pretty much dismantled that garage anytime the camera kind of zoomed past and another car was getting some fresh tyres, and they were out of there in a hurry. So clearly Formula One is under pressure when they move locations like this. Not the biggest distance, and obviously I can see you've headed home, but you are back there this weekend. What's it like for the F1's teams to do these back-to-back races?
Yeah, well, Martin, maybe I should reveal that I'm just wearing my pyjama bottoms on this. I've only dressed the top half for video purposes, but that's by the by.
Don't stand up. Don't stand up.
It is a quick turnaround. So yeah, like you say, the pack down's pretty fierce, and you actually get the stage where you have like different teams, different cargo. Although it is a short sort of distance between them, you can get other cargo going out. But with Alpine, it depends how much of a mess the cars are in. So if it's like a complete chassis up rebuild with such a tight turnaround, you can be given special dispensation to sort of work into the night, being as it is so quick. So it's whether they need to do that. I mean, I know Ocon said he had a cracked seat, but that's, we see those pop in and out all the time. So it just sort of depends on the rest, how much dressing up they have to do to go for that. And then it's just personnel. I know a lot of people, whether it's media, teams, engineers, caterers, they go straight to Belgium and, will look to their Airbnb and hotel washing facilities to make sure they're smelling fresh and good to go for the rest of the week. Other of us would prefer to pop home and have a night in our own bed and maybe bring an entirely new set of shirts to the next race. But hey, that's just me.
I feel like if we don't ask Alex now what he's wearing, he's almost missing out on the conversation. But anyway, let's stick with talking about Alpine, Alex. The impact of that double DNF again in Hungary. How's it affecting the team? How's it affecting Otmar Szafnauer? Because, it's like the guy who employed you has now been moved over to special projects at Renault. So, he's got a new boss. Could he be worried about Renault and Alpine making some sort of wholesale change? What do you think Alpine need to do this weekend?
No, well, first of all, let's go the full set, Martin. I am also not dressed the bottoms underneath. I'm in a nice pair of shorts, but also wearing the same jacket that I've wore on the last video. So consider this my video jacket. No doubt it's hideous for everybody looking along, but it keeps me comfy. Anyway, back to what we're supposed to be banging on about. Alpine, yes, I mean, tricky for Otmar Szafnauer with all the changes happening above him. That's one thing. We know how disruptive that can be, the pressure that can create. But equally, look at the teams around Alpine. They're 40 points behind McLaren now. And if we look at how McLaren have been performing in the last couple of races, you would logically think, unless Alpine can make a similar step, which they have made no signs of doing. They have brought upgrades. Things have got a bit better. I don't see how they're ever going to catch McLaren. Do we even consider them McLaren's rival at this point? If McLaren are the second best team, as other teams are suggesting, things like that, up there with Mercedes, right? So that's one thing. There's going to be questions asked by Renault. Why haven't we done what McLaren have done? Why haven't we done what Aston Martin did? Because Aston Martin was behind both of those teams last year. Now, Alpine's very keen to highlight, we're a racing team. We're a racing team. That's all we really do. Okay, they've got the sports cars that they're really trying to sell. But as an operation, that's all we're interested in. We're not doing big politics. We're not perhaps getting involved in the tricks that it's been flying rumoured around that other teams might be doing when it comes to the cost cap. Don't know, the FIA says there's absolutely nothing to look at so far on that, but let's wait and see. Alpine, we're a race team. Now, okay, that's fine. Very good. Good pedigree. They've got results in the past, but they need to show progress. They need to be doing what others are doing. They need to be making those steps. However, it's achieved. So yeah, pressure on Otmar. And yeah, I don't like the idea of big management changes in response to sort of short-term thinking, because this isn't football. The new manager bounced. We look at Ferrari. That's not happened. And these things take a long time to change in Formula One. So Alpine does need to be given time, but it's had the same run as McLaren and Aston and not made the jump. So That's what they've got to be targeting.
Well, you mentioned Aston Martin there. And Matt, we had some news this week. We saw on Autosport.com where Fernando Alonso said, yeah, we're fifth fastest on the grid now. If he comes home ninth, that's a realistic target. We haven't got to go back too far. And he said, I'm going to be on the podium every race this year. Can we dig a little bit more, Matt, into Aston Martin, whether they've been outdeveloped, whether they've gone down a bad development route, whether they just haven't hooked it up and it just could be track specific? What do you think for them and their chances this weekend?
I think you got it in one, Martin. It's a case of being outdeveloped. So since the start of the season, Alonso was 7/10 off the Red Bulls on pole, and that's come down to half a second. So, they have improved, and that's as of last weekend with Red Bull bringing that update package, which Verstappen didn't make the most of in Q3, bad lap. So there's a bit of nuance, but effectively the gap is slightly closer, if not the same, which sort of re-underlines, okay, Hungary was a really boring race, but it shows how tightly contested the grid is at the minute, that they can stay the same. And then they've been, leapfrogged by McLaren. You've got that ever-changing cycle of Mercedes, Ferrari, and Aston Martin sort of for second or now third place. And so that gap has now got a lot more people in it. So I don't think Aston have necessarily fallen off and it's a disaster. I think they will be looking to the summer break to have a bit of a reset. I don't think Spa will necessarily suit their car massively because it's quite high drag. So at the end of the Kemmel Straight, they might be a bit vulnerable with DRS, but I don't think it's a disaster. And then you've got the other thing where, if you had offered Alonso when he tested that car in Abu Dhabi, 11 point scoring races in a row, whether or not that was, started off as being podiums, is now sort of on the fringe of the top 10, I think he would have taken it, and it's still a success story for Aston Martin. And also as part of the, the massive factory upgrade, the hiring people from Red Bull, Mercedes, whatever, I don't think 2023 they necessarily had third in the Constructors' Championship on their radar. So it's okay, you're allowed to afford them a little bit of dropping back, but it just says sort of how close the field is, and also what a disconnect it is between how close the field is and some of the racing we've been getting this season.
Okay, well, let's talk a little bit about Ferrari next. Alex, you mentioned them a moment ago. I was doing my own driver ratings, which if anyone doesn't do it, it's great. It's a bit like, like fantasy football every week. But Alex and JBL, we do our driver ratings here at Autosport, very famously, have done for years. And then, of course, if you go onto the website, you get to do your own scores as well. And it's interesting to see kind of how closely our readers of the website often track our ratings as well. But I was reading our ratings of the Ferrari drivers and I just couldn't decide whether they had a good race in Hungary or not. And I think maybe I need to go back and watch it and watch what they were doing, or whether they really were just hobbled by bad decisions and the team not swapping them around, and then stupid things like the wheel gun and speeding in the pit lane, etc. But Alex, Ferrari's only 2 races in a row, just in the points. What's happened there? How can they do a reset this weekend?
Yeah, I think if you look back at Hungary, pace-wise, Charles Leclerc had a very good race. Maybe he's bit too much pace when it came to coming into the pit lane, or definitely too much pace because he got that pit lane speeding penalty. But he was quicker than Carlos Sainz on the harder compounds. Sainz had a good start with the soft, but yeah, that they were hobbled by what went wrong at Ferrari, and that's what the team's got to concentrate on this weekend in Belgium. And it's really sort of frustrating and almost a little bit sad that a year on, we're still talking about these operational errors at Ferrari. Wheel gun, 7 seconds for Leclerc in Hungary. That really undid his race. What that then led to, with him feeling the need to attack the pit lane speed limiter later, you can assume it really upped the pressure on him. So, yeah, Ferrari needs to stop scoring own goals. I think it needs to fix its radio. That's emerged as a big thing. You sense that perhaps Leclerc, would he have said that if things were all going well and he was at least fast and winning races? Would he have revealed that Ferrari can't even get its radio right? Almost certainly not. So yeah, there are little things it needs to be doing better. But also, the car's just sort of lacking at the moment. Like, they've done a lot of work to make it quicker in a straight line. That was the big target over the winter, and that made it weaker in the high-speed corners where it was previously very, very good. So that's why Silverstone, it struggled more than it was hoping to. Wanted to see some progress there, and still they haven't solved the tyre wear issue. They still haven't solved that, and it makes such a big difference, and especially in a tyre management race like Hungary, they're never really going to be a factor. So Ferrari, it's like playing the greatest hits again. We're just hearing them, they're not changing them. So we really would like to see some new material from Ferrari. A rare thing for people to want to hear the new stuff, but definitely we want that from Ferrari.
Yeah, we want to hear the new stuff. Hey, a team who absolutely had a very difficult second album. Don't know where I'm going with this. Of the last few years, but absolutely have got right back to the top of the charts is McLaren. They have really been talking down their chances. They were quick at Silverstone, but they were like, well, yeah, but Hungary's a different circuit. They were quick in Hungary. We saw how Lando did some great tyre management, had enough to fend off Sergio Perez at the end. Yeah, so Sergio should have been ahead of him if he'd done the overtakes he needed to earlier in the race. But still, he did it, and fantastic for Lando Norris. Oscar was 30 seconds behind his teammate. It's his rookie season. Let's also say he's doing an amazing job, but probably a bit to learn there. He would be the first to admit that. And now heading into Belgium, everyone's saying, oh, it's high speed, so McLaren's going to be really good. And once again, McLaren have said, oh, yeah, but all the speed, all the lap time is in the slow stuff, and we won't be good there, so don't worry about us. Are they just trying... Do McLaren realise, Matt, that people are really looking at them, spotlights on them, all the photographers in the pit lane are going to be taking even more photos than usual of that McLaren? What have they done to get those upgrades? And they're just trying to talk it down a little bit. How could they be this weekend?
I'm not going to lie to our listeners and viewers. I'll give them the credit they deserve. I don't know is the honest answer, because first of all, they've got this new upgrade package. So it's 50% of the new parts came in Austria, then another 25% in Silverstone. And then we're meant to have the final bit, the other 25% coming in Hungary. Well, they didn't arrive due to design and production sort of delays. And McLaren are quite coy on when they arrived. You know, they said it could come in the next few races. Well, that could either mean Spa this weekend in case whoop-de-doo. But that's it then. You've got a months-long break. And if you have got delays, getting your parts done, even in the summer shutdown, it seems to fall nicely into that. So the new parts might not come until after the summer break. So 75% of a car or a game-changing upgrade is still well worth having, so they could do well. And like you say, it's getting a bit closer to the boy who cried wolf, where they say, "I'll do rubbish," and then they're mega. But the point that Stella made on Sunday when previewing Spa is a fair one. It's easy to understand that Spa is characterised as a high-speed track. Eau Rouge, Raidillon, 2 kilometres, I think it is, flat out from La Source to into Les Combes down to Kemmel Straight. Pouon, flat out, famous sections, all of that back straight. So yes, high speed. If you've got a low drag setup, enjoy it basically. However, in terms of like nailing a lap, there's sort of 3 or 4 areas where a driver can basically ruin a lap, and that is into La Source because it is slow. Same into Les Combes, change of direction, that sort of U-shaped corner at the bottom, which doesn't have an official name really that anyone acknowledges. And then of course the fiddly bus stop chicane. So that's where tenths of a second are there to be sort of won or lost. And McLaren still insists that despite how well it did in Hungary, low speed corners, i.e. those ones, are its weakness. And the medium speed is where it's made, and medium and high speed is where it's made the most gains. So you could see it being, getting into Q2, but where after that, like I said earlier, Ferrari, Mercedes, Aston Martin, basically anywhere behind Red Bull seems up for grabs at the minute. So the honest answer is I don't know, but yeah, anywhere, points. Let's say for points.
Good stuff. Right, anyone watching this, if you want to leave a comment below about what you think about Sir McLaren this weekend, or any of the other teams that we are talking about on the video today, we love to see your comments about what you think of Formula One. Alex, before I let you go, you'll be at Spa. You'll both be travelling this weekend in Belgium. What else are you going to be on the lookout for?
Well, I mean, can Max Verstappen lap the entire field if he starts on pole position? I mean, we're going back to the ground where Red Bull was just showed how good their first ground effects package has been still really ever since, because it's the compression going up through Eau Rouge. It was able to take that with a lower ride height than the other cars, and still maintain all its downforce. It just had it all around there. So yeah, looking out for more excellence for Red Bull, but obviously that's quite an obvious answer. Ferrari, quick here last year, obviously Carlos Sainz started from pole position, but it was all the engine penalty madness. So it wasn't a sort of legitimate pole, let's face it. He did go and get that at Austin later on in the year. But yeah, hoping for something to come back from Ferrari, because I think they're of the leading teams, they're the sort of biggest question mark. But then there's also Mercedes yo-yoing. Aston, I think, unless they bring something massive, as Matt said, has fallen behind in the development race. So yeah, it's again that question of who's Red Bull's sort of nearest challenger, but that's a bit of a misnomer. It's sort of the car finishing behind Verstappen. Will Perez make any progress in qualifying on a track where being quick in the high speed corners is pretty critical? So those are the sort of the leading talking points. I'm quite looking forward to seeing what Daniel Ricciardo can do at Spa. I think he was quietly quite impressive in Hungary. He didn't sound very enthused, because I think he was pretty upset at what happened at turn 1 with being hit by Zhou Guanyu and going into the Alpine. So yeah, I think that the next chapter on his recovery will be really interesting to follow.
What I always try and do on a Monday or a Tuesday is go back to F1 TV and watch the key moments of the race from all the onboards, and particularly when they cross the line as well. I always love to hear what the drivers say to their engineers after they cross the line. And you mentioned Zhou Guanyu there. I tell you what, for someone whose English isn't his first language, he's pretty sweary. Now, he had good reason to be, may I say, but also top swearing. Didn't hear that on the world feed, did we? Hey, before we go, any of you guys know if the trophies this weekend are porcelain or anything stronger? I was gonna send a message to a certain L Norris, just out of interest.
Well, last year they were sort of wood and perspex. It may have been glass, but it probably makes it a little bit lighter if it's perspex. So that we're just seeing what the pictures have looked like from last year of Max Verstappen hoisting his trophy loft. It reminded me more of the Red Bull ring. It's basically the outline of the track in wood, then a bit in the middle, but the Spa, they've got some sort of signature or some writing in the middle. So you'd think that'd be a bit more durable, but maybe it might have to lie flat. If it's standing up on its edge and Norris is anywhere near with a champagne bottle, then it's in utter jeopardy.
Well, that's our preview of the Belgian Grand Prix. Weather forecast, by the way, I know that as of the point of recording this, we're 3 or 4 days out from it, but light rain forecast Friday, Saturday, 19 to 21 degrees C. That's about 66 to 70 degrees Fahrenheit for our US viewers. Rain should be cleared by the Grand Prix weekend, but a lot can change, and so weather could be mixed as well this weekend. What do you think about this weekend's action? What are you looking for? Let us know in the comments below. If you liked the video, give us a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel so you never miss a video. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.